Okay, so this is going to be the energies, the main things that you guys can expect in 2026. This is going to be I feel like quite a long one. Just because I picked like a few areas that I wanted to concentrate on. And yeah, we're gonna dive into each one of them. And then I did also like an overall 2026 energy feel, like what you can expect. And I was like thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I should do it in the beginning or at the end. I think I want to do it at the end just to give a nice summary. Um, I'm feeling a bit better, but if I cough or sneeze or whatever, I'm still I'm still healing. Alrighty. Let's begin with career. Career highlights for 2026. It definitely feels like there's going to be a lot more options, opportunities, multiple pathways and doorways opening up for you. So there is going to be a need to like slow down and not act so impulsively of whatever's coming in because it actually feels like there's just yeah, there's a lot of options, a lot of, like I said, doorways and pathways opening up where it's better to pause, see everything that's coming to you, and make a decision that's from your heart, right? That feels good for you. So don't act so impulsively. Yeah, I wrote down if you need to sit with a decision, do so until you receive full clarity on what to do next or what option to go with. So it's a good thing. It is a good thing, especially for those of you that I know you might have lost something like a job or whatever. Something ended for you in 2025. Maybe, it ended earlier in the year and you've just been like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to look for stuff. I've been trying to get something. It like this year feels really good in terms of something finally opening up for you, whatever that is, right? It's going to be different for different people, but it feels good. Feels really good. It feels fruitful. Um, I wrote a few things down for career, so I'm not done. Um, I wrote down there's definitely an expansion in radiance in your career path. Yeah, it's like it's going or it has gone through like a death cycle in your career, and this year 2026 is going to be the rebirth year of your career, of your whatever projects, whatever you are working on. Like there's multiple things that went through like a death and rebirth cycle, and like I said, for sure it was like within, but it's also within your career. There's been there's just been like many death and rebirth cycles in our own lives, but also like in all these like different areas, right? And career is one of them. Yeah, and the next thing I wrote down is whatever you're working on, like your own business projects, it feels like there's going to be a change. Like the way that you've been doing it, or the way that, yeah, the way that you've been doing it, whatever your process is, whatever maybe you've been offering to people. Let's just say there's a certain service that you offer to people or you've been working on in 2025. It feels like in 2026 there's going to be a change, and it's not bad. Like don't think of it as like, oh my gosh, again or whatever. These changes are for the better. It's actually to move you forward in whatever you're doing and whatever you're creating. So these are positive changes. So don't be resistant to if something comes up within you and you're like, okay, I really need to change this process. I really need to change the way that I'm creating or the way that I'm offering something, maybe the model of whatever your service is, whatever you're offering to the public, that's going to go through a change and it's for the highest. It's for the like, it's for your own benefit and the benefit of whatever you're putting out there. And I feel like for some of you, you actually might be feeling this already. Like whatever you're working on, whatever you're creating that you started in 2025, I almost feel like those were the training wheels of getting you into that field or, doing your own thing, right? And obviously, as you grow that, as get more and more comfortable in doing that thing again, whatever it is, could be creation, could be music, could be writing, could be painting, could be doing what I'm doing. I don't like whatever that is, right? Could be coaching, could be consulting, whatever, right? You're going through a process of getting used to it, understanding it, gaining more skills. And it's like now you've refined, you've understood, like, okay, maybe this doesn't work, or maybe this isn't aligned with me. Maybe this is not how I want to do X, Y, and Z. And in 2026, you are changing that and go with that change, go with that flow. It's for the highest, it's for your benefit, for whatever you're creating, it's benefit as well. So don't resist it. Go with it. Okay. And like I said, you guys could be feeling it. And if you're feeling it, that's your signal. You already know the change that you need to implement. So I feel like the change for a lot of you, it's like the beginning of this year. Like I feel like some of you already know it and you're like, all right, I got to implement this change. I got to do something different with whatever you're creating, whatever project you're doing. So it's a beneficial thing. Yeah, I wrote down allow it to happen and adapt as it's meant to go through this change so that whatever you're building can flourish and succeed. Okay? It's a good thing. There's also going to be this wave, and I don't think it's going to be maybe in the beginning of the year, maybe more so in February and March and like later on throughout the year, but like new ideas, new ventures, and a feeling of a fresh start and good luck. So it's like you're gonna get inspired with different ideas. Maybe you're shifting your career. If you haven't ended something in 2025, you might be actually feeling that change now. You might be feeling like I need to pivot, I need to course correct because you're realizing that whatever you have been doing for the past whatever years, you're like, it doesn't align. It doesn't like, I don't see myself doing this long term. You guys are prioritizing more of like lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? Because so many of us are burnt out of all the things that we've been through, pain, trauma, challenges, economic things that have been happening, or just like being too serious at work. Do you know what I mean? Like just having everything be so rigid. And so a lot of you are just like, is this how I want to live for the rest of my life? Do I really want to be doing this until I'm like 65, being in this type of career where really I'm not thriving? I'm not feeling fulfilled, right? And yeah, you're just like, okay, maybe I don't pursue this. Maybe I pivot, maybe I stop, maybe I go something else. Maybe there was something like a different career path that you never took because maybe people criticized you for it. Maybe they're like, that there's nothing in there. Where now you're entertaining it. You're like, what if? What if I just try? What if I like what do I have to lose? Do you know what I mean? A lot of you are just willing to take that leap, that leap into something unknown because you feel that your soul is pulling you towards it. So it's a beautiful thing, truly. I wrote down news on the way of an opportunity, which kind of connects to what I said in the beginning. Yeah, like just expect things like knocking at your door, being like, hey, and obviously I mean that metaphorically, like expect emails, messages, um, calls, people being like, I want you for this opportunity or for this project or for this collaboration. Expect that to come in because it does feel like a lot of you are going to be getting that. And a lot of you that are in this creator or artist kind of field where you're making stuff, you're releasing it out into the public, more and more people will be seeing you and recognizing your work. So you're finally going to be seen. So let's just say in 2025, you weren't really getting the recognition. Not many people were seeing your things, liking it, using it, whatever, right? It feels like in 2026, more and more people are going to start like seeing it, recognizing it, liking it, using it, you know? And I feel like, and I mentioned this before, this is how you know that what you're doing is actually aligned. Because if you can do something that, you know, automatically doesn't get seen, doesn't get recognized, doesn't get clapped for, and you continue to do it, then you know you're doing it for the right reasons. Because in the beginning, if you don't get that validation, you have to validate yourself. It has to come from within of like, I enjoy doing this thing that you're doing, creating music, painting, drawing, whatever it is. And no one's been looking, no one's been clapping, no one's been, seeing it, but you continue to do it. Like, eventually, guys, because of that energy that you're putting out, eventually it will get seen, it will get recognized, right? And it doesn't matter how long it takes because you're not doing it for, others to validate you and your work. I saw a reel, I think it was today, about artists and people creating stuff and how you know when they're really aligned is because yeah, they don't get instant gratification and instant validation for what they're doing, right? Those are the ones that actually succeed, and it's like sometimes it takes years for them to get that, to get, I don't know, all that success, and they only got it because they kept going. They kept believing in themselves, right? But it does feel like if you had like nothing, like no one really looking at your work or clapping, it's like you are going to get that first wave, right? It doesn't have to be massive, right? Don't think like, oh my God, it's going to be like thousands upon thousands. It could, but to be honest, you'd rather have like a gentle wave, so that your nervous system actually gets used to more and more people following you, liking you, clapping for you, buying your stuff. You want your nervous system to gradually expand to that new version of you, okay? Um Next thing I wrote down, mm, yeah, definitely something fast moving. Yeah, so for those of you that have been feeling stagnant in your career, there's something picking up. And once that momentum picks up, you'll be busy moving forward with your ideas, new business, new career, whatever it is. And it carries an energy of success and feeling good and feeling stable and supported. So, yeah, if you lost your stability, if you lost your foundation in 2025, something comes in. And when it comes in, it's coming in hot, right? Like an opportunity and collaboration, a new job, career, whatever. And it's like, get ready. Because when it comes in and it's aligned and you say yes, it's going to make you feel like, okay, finally, I'm rebuilding my stability. I'm rebuilding my foundation and I feel supported. Um, I wrote down, and I feel like this could be for everybody, both like entrepreneurs, artists, and people in like the corporate field or whatever, right? I wrote down an importance of staying in your feminine energy of surrender rather than forcing things to happen exactly your way or the way that you think it should happen. So again, that's like the template that we've come from, right? Of being too much in our masculine, of like constantly go, 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 pushing, drive, thinking that, like there's like a rigidity, right? To when it came to creating our work or working or what there was so much like no, not much surrender and flow and like the breathing room that is necessary for creation, right? You can't just do and have no breathing room, right? So try and apply this to, again, whatever it is that you're doing in your career. Have that feminine energy. I'm not saying only be in the feminine, right? Because you need that masculine to create as well. But just keep in mind the importance of surrender and not forcing things to happen, right? To me, that also looks like, if you are in like a corporate field and you're working on with a team, and let's just say maybe you're the main leader, maybe you're the manager, right? Maybe you're the executive. Be open to other people, to your teammates, to the ideas that they have to bring. This isn't about, because you have a higher title that you're above people. Maybe you know how to manage and lead, that's great, but a great leader is open to everyone on the team giving their ideas, pitching their ideas, thinking of new ways of doing things because they see things that you probably don't. So don't be so rigid, especially for those of you that have a higher title, okay? And for the creators, I'm sure you already do this a lot more, of just surrendering to the changes, the different ideas that come to you and adapting with it, right? Trying new things out. Um, but yeah, so just keep that in mind, right? In your career and projects, whatever you're doing. Um, yeah, it's funny. I just mentioned this. So for like entrepreneurs and artists, a need to explore different ways of creating. So I guess for those of you that are rigid and like, this is my structure, this is what how I do things and how I create. Like I've mentioned, there's like a change happening within that, and you probably can feel it. So just allow whatever you're inspired to change within your structure, within your routine, whatever that is, within your creative process to go through that change. So, yeah, allowing that inspiration to flow through you without judgment, without thinking it must be a certain way, just allowing yourself to create and express yourself as you desire. Feminine flow. Okay. I feel like some of you are just probably going to be thinking of new ways, or like new ways are going to be coming into you that It's gonna look different. It might look completely different than what other artists in your, and whatever you're creating and how they create. It's probably gonna look very different and maybe very maybe like taboo even or what who knows, right? But you're meant to explore that because perhaps that's going to be your process and what makes your work so unique. Don't be scared to like walk off the beaten path. Sorry guys, I didn't think I'd be coughing this much, but what can I do? It's the season of winter and got my first cold of the year, so bear with me, please. Um, yeah, there's gonna be like a new process of doing something, and it's gonna look different for you, and it could be very unique to whatever you're creating. um, okay, I kind of mentioned this, but yeah, there may be many of you stepping back from conventional paths and getting back to studying, learning, or just doing something that you're very passionate about. And it has this like steady, solid foundational building of your work slash career life. Okay. Yeah. So there's change happening. I wrote overall message for career is a change for the better, adapt to these changes, a reconstructing happening, more creative and fresh ideas, people focusing on what feels right to their nervous systems rather than pushing, striving, stressing out. But overall, it's leading to feeling happy and fulfilled in whatever you're building, creating in your career life, prioritizing balance structure that works for you. So it feels good, truly. Um, Numbers coming up for career was 7, 2, 9, and 11. So 7, learning patience, self mastery over time. 2 is partnerships, balance, and collaboration. 9, completion, end of doing something an old way. And 11, alignment and intuitive insight. And an animal coming up for career was the chameleon, which I thought was hilarious because that's all about change and adaptability, right? So adapt and adjust without losing authenticity. Those who are flexible and integral will navigate opportunities and ideas successfully. So, yeah. Next. My God, I was not coughing this much, honestly. But as soon as I started using my throat chakra, here I am. So, like I said, sorry, guys. Moving on to money and finances, which, to be honest, is connected to career. And I wrote down there's also like a rebirth energy happening for those who have struggled in 2025. So you lost your career, obviously you lost, your finances or whatever. But that was that death and rebirth cycle that it needed to go through as well. So in 2026, there's a fresh and renewed energy. So finances should be getting better this year as there's opportunities coming in. It's like whatever intentions you have set last year, they're going to be sprouting this year. So I wrote down a need to speak to the divine. So like set out your intentions, right? But what you would like to make this year / monthly and release with trust that you're being heard and aligned to the right opportunities for you to make that money. Trusting you will be shown the way out of your current situation and you're aligned to the right job slash career slash projects slash opportunities. So like I said, it's very much connected to career, but set out your intentions, you know? Set out like be honest with yourself. Don't like I wanted to say like don't think too radically, but at the same time, a good way to do this is like sit with yourself, tune in with your heart and nervous system, and then think about a number that would make you feel good. Okay? Because if you think of a number, or let's just say it's really big and it makes your nervous system contract, like you're not aligned with it. And I'm not saying you're never going to be, but remember, you have to expand your container. So if you're used to making a certain amount of money, like your nervous system is obviously good with that. But as soon as you make more, your nervous system has to expand to accept that amount, right? So that's why I'm saying like sit with yourself, feel into what would feel good for you. And then set out those intentions, and therefore it'll be easier to surrender and release and being like, you know, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, like you guys are supported. Truly, for those of you that have gone through a lot and have lost a lot, trust that everything is going to be coming back to you. Like truly, I feel like 2026, like things are gonna start coming back in. Okay. And I'm not saying it's gonna be a rush and like it's gonna flood in. No, it's gonna be a nice gradual build, right? So yeah, set out your intentions. Yeah, the next thing I wrote is there's a breakthrough happening and you're aligned with your purpose. So be open to collaborations, working with others as finances slash money slash abundance flows smoother when people team up and collaborate, which is actually very true. It's very, very true. First, it's literally it's like the flow of energy, right? Money is energy. It's a currency, current, stream, like water flow. And it flows faster when you can come in with others and you can cooperate as a team. And there's like ideas and everything flowing about. So don't be resistant to it. If you've always been used to being a lonely island or I'm independent, I work better by myself. We're not meant to. We're not meant to. You know, you like whatever you're creating, and let's just say there's a collaboration, like you get to speak to that person and vice versa or team of how you work best. You know, like do you need meetings every single week or once a week or what you know what I mean? Like I get like I'm a person that I like working on my own, but I also like working with other people. Like I actually enjoy both. I need the balance of both to work my best. And I feel like that's kind of where we need to go, right? Realizing we can't do things just completely on our own. It comes in together. And again, that's how currency flows even faster because now there's multiple energies and there's like this beautiful co-creation going on, which I do believe in 2026. And I feel like even moving forward, it's about collaboration. It's about working together and not being lonely islands, okay? Okay, so the next thing I wrote, those building something like your own business, you're building for the long term. and there will be success with that. Since many people like to build very quickly and get, like, oh my god, I need to go from zero to like a crazy number within a month. Like, guys, I have been in that realm. Not me myself, but I have worked for people where their business exploded very quickly. Very like yes, it's a great thing to be happy about that, but because like I've seen it, whenever it grows way too quickly, that momentum is just like explodes. It has to pull back, and it did pull back where I was, which I'm not going to mention where, but it pulled back to a place of where its natural stability was. It's the same thing, like I said, with the nervous system. Do you know what I mean? It's like that I mean, could have been as a whole because we were a team, but it's like the nervous system of that business or whatever, it wasn't prepared for such a rapid expansion that it pulled back. It pulled, and guys, you don't see this for businesses that are like operating out in the public. You don't see this because they try and mask it and hide it, but internally it's not good. So that applies to everything as well. Applies to what you're building. And so steady long-term momentum, gradual momentum is better than something blasting off into space. Because it's literally a law of energy. It has to pull back. It's a pendulum. You swing the pendulum one way, it's gonna swing all the way back. It has to, right? Next thing I wrote, so many of you are creating financial boundaries, structures, and systems that make you feel supported and stable, which again, like, connects to the career that I mentioned, like the career part that I mentioned. New financial streams. So you could be just like thinking of different ways of making money, earning money, maybe something on the side, investments, opportunities. But many are focused on long-term alignment rather than short-term gain, which good for you guys if that's what you're doing. Overall, new opportunities, new financial streams, investments, building a strong foundation, letting go of old ways of doing things or looking at money, even like old belief systems, asking and seeking help or guidance or mentorship from others, and taking smart and bold action in your finances, which again is just connected to your career as well. Numbers coming up 3, 6, 10, and 11. So 3, like I just mentioned, collaboration, growth, expression, mentorship. 6, reward, prosperity, harmonizing wealth with life purpose. 10, new beginnings and new cycles. 11, intuition, guidance, and alignment. And animal coming up under finances and money was lion. So courage, leadership, and assertiveness in finances. Taking bold action and protecting your resources and taking calculated risks. Okay, moving on to home life for 2026. So there's a sense of stability, security, foundation, and infusing the home/family life with creativity and ease. So for those looking for a home, this year brings more of the energy of stability and security and feeling at peace in this place. And I also wrote down that there's many of you that are probably going to relocate, whether that's near wherever you live or completely a different place, because I know many of you have been calling in relocation. And yeah, feels like it could be happening actually this year. I wrote down there's definitely destiny, fate at play for those wanting to relocate. Like for those wanting to relocate, like out of your province, state, or country. There's destiny, fate at play here. Um, yeah, I wrote, but ultimately, those moving will go to a place that offers them more mental balance and helps to inspire you creatively. Yeah, it's almost gonna feel like a place you've dreamt of, and it's finally happening for you. And it's also going to be a place where your spiritual connection will be heightened. So you'll meet like a higher version of yourself, or you'll become this higher version of yourself. Positive growth, so evolution. And yeah, it's gonna like it feels like it's gonna be for not obviously all of you, but for some of you, it's gonna be a place where you've never been. Like it's probably gonna be different culture sense, right? Something that you have to get used to. Maybe it's something that you've always imagined, something you've always pictured, right? But the main energies that I was getting with this relocation was like it's meant to deepen your connection to yourself. So if you have been shedding and becoming like a higher version of yourself, you're going to continue. And that's not a bad thing. You're going to continue. You're going to become more of this like beautiful radiant version of yourself, and it's like whatever you're creating, whatever you're working on, that's actually going to expand in this relocation, right? You're going to yeah, it's almost like a place where this new version of like so this new version of yourself that you've become, you've embodied, it's outgrown the place that you're at currently. And you know that, you can feel that. So it's like you're being relocated to a place where it's like now it can match the energy and the frequency of this new version that you have become. So it's like get ready because it's like you are going to go through like another spiritual like upgrade or whatever, like becoming even more embodied, even more of this version of yourself, and you're going to be getting like ideas and creative inspiration and downloads to support whatever you're creating. So it's going to be a very beneficial move and also feels like more aligned and like-minded people. So if you are in a place currently that like, yeah, you're not inspired, you know you've outgrown it, you don't really have like-minded people in the area, you're relocating somewhere else. And like I said, it feels like destiny and fate is at play here. So it's not something you're going to have to force to happen. Like it could come through an opportunity, or you do feel a calling, or maybe you go somewhere and then you find, I don't know, like a thread that pretty much pulls you into that place of like moving there, you know? But yeah, it feels like 2026 for some of you, it's definitely like your relocation year, which is great. I'm calling that in for myself. Um, yeah, I just mentioned this and I wrote down my next point was for those relocating, it feels like a certain opportunity will come in that's aligned with your purpose that will cause you to move and relocate where you'll continue to grow as a person and spiritually. So I just mentioned this. Which again, like when I mentioned in my career part of 2026, I did say how there's going to be a lot of doorways and pathways opening up in like different opportunities and whatever. And a lot of these opportunities could be located where you're supposed to move. And again, you'll know when it comes in and you're like, wait, it's located here. I think I would like living here. I've always pictured myself living here. You know, that's for you. You know, And it could feel a little bit scary, I get it, because it's like, "Oh my gosh, I've never lived here." Maybe it's a different language that you're gonna have to learn, like, but go with it. Go with it, okay? Um, for those of you that are happy where you are currently, it's infusing your current place with creativity, ease, and a place that feels like a sanctuary. Yeah, a place where you can fully recharge, be inspired in a creative way. So you could just be looking into like renovating, changing the way things are organized at your home, or moving into a new place that just feels better, but it's still like within the same area. Overall, many are moving, relocating, especially those wanting to move abroad. And this move is connected to your higher purpose. You could also be, by the way, relocating because you met somebody in a romantic way and they pull you there or whatever, you know. But this move will feel good, freeing, light, and a feeling like finally this feels like home. And home will be a place of rest, sanctuary, and inspiration for most, as that's your priority to make it feel that way. It's just being more intentional about your home, where you're living, and whom you're living with. Again, a lot of this is like nervous system reset and listening to your nervous system. Okay, one second, guys, because I feel like it's getting quite dark. I'm going to turn on another light. I could have started this earlier, but I was still. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. Numbers coming up for this was 9, 5, and 3. So 9 endings, closing a chapter that's leading to fulfillment. 5, change and freedom. 3, growth, expansion, and planning. And the animal coming up for home was grasshopper, which I found hilarious because like to me that literally symbolizes relocation. Whether, like I said, whether it's within your area or completely someplace different. So yeah, I wrote down moving, comma, taking a leap, and like a fresh perspective or change within your current home. So again, it'll depend on each and every single one of you and what you're doing. Next thing I wrote down, since I find a lot of people, want to know about travel, is travel. So going to a place or places that call you energetically. So that can look like going to a retreat somewhere or just a place or places that keep calling to you. It does feel like a place that will make you feel good, light, having fun, a sense that you've been there before. So like a feeling of home for some of you. And this could be a place that you're actually relocated to. So again, this could be connected with the home, right? Especially for those of you that are relocating someplace completely different. This could actually just be connected with travel. But yeah, for those of you that are fine with where you are, I wrote down definitely there's a lot of that energy of community and fun and lightheartedness. So I wrote down for some, it's like a getaway with friends, road trip, or trip to somewhere to collaborate with others on an idea/project you're working on. For singles, I wrote down you could be meeting someone romantically that will be someone you commit to, but be careful because not everyone you meet is aligned and will have your best intentions. So I just wrote down make sure you always check in with your intuition and your nervous system. Not everybody you meet overseas is aligned, okay? So just be aware, be careful, and always use your intuition. For some of you, and I feel like I kind of fit into this category, you're going to be taking an impulsive trip. You're going to like feel into like, I need to go here. My heart is telling me to go here, and you're just going to book it and go. um yeah, it's because you feel you're done and you feel like you need a change. So I'm one that I support that, because to be honest, like I said, I've been feeling this myself, and I've been known in the past to be very impulsive, very spontaneous, almost like too much so. Where I've learned to balance that, but yeah, I feel like I might be doing something like that. Just booking something and going and be like, okay, next week, and everyone's gonna be like, what? Really? When did you plan this? Oh, I don't know, yesterday. I'm just, you know. Um Next thing I wrote was some are traveling to, which makes sense. Some are traveling to recharge and rebalance, but some of you are doing that because of a heartbreak. Maybe you've gone through a loss, whether that was with somebody, or maybe like your job ended or something, and you're just going to recharge and rebalance. It's like a self-love gift slash treat. I did write down that those traveling with others, for some of you, you're actually going to realize the truth of the connection, which will lead to clarity on who this person is and whether you keep them in your circle or not. I know maybe that's not the best news, but in a way it kind of is, because if someone's not aligned with you and you see their true colors, it's like, why would you want to keep them, right? I know a lot of you have been going through like shedding people who just aren't aligned and don't have your best interests. So you could still be weeding people out, especially, like I said, trips. I'm sure, I don't know if some of you know, but trips and vacation is one of the best ways to see if you are aligned with someone, whether it's a friend or like a romantic person, right? Because there's stresses involved, there's decisions, there's so many things involved, and it brings out the most authentic version of that person. And you're like, oh, okay, that's who you are, right? And again, you'll just be making a decision for yourself whether that's someone you keep or not. So I wrote, overall, travel that's meant to expand you, which is pretty obvious. Bring career opportunities, relocation, spiritual evolution, enlightenment, feeling of confidence, traveling, especially if you're doing it solo, revelation of connections and relationships, and fated love meetings. Numbers coming up for this was 3, 9, 5, 22, and 7. So 3, growth, expression, communication, collaboration, friends. 9, closure and completion, maybe within certain connections. 5, freedom, travel, and change. 22, destiny at play, so intuitive nudges and leaps of going places. 7, discernment, spiritual attunement, and awakening. Animal coming up for this was tiger, so courage and discernment, taking calculated risks and leaps. Travel sharpens your instincts. Okay. By the way, guys, if I'm kind of like moving through this quickly, it's because like I thought I'd be ready and good to like talk for some time, but I can just feel my like congestion. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to end this. I just want to go through this, and yeah, but anyway, I have 2 more things and then overall message for 2026. I literally thought this would be longer, but like I said, I'm still recovering. Okay, so next is spirituality and evolution and self-growth. So it feels like there's a merging between the third eye, the heart chakra, and the root chakra. There's going to be like more alignment with that. I feel like for a lot of us, we tend to like either stick to the top half or the bottom half. And it just feels like a lot of us are just starting to realign those things. So a feeling of being stable and secure in who you are, deeply connected to your purpose and mission, and having the clarity of walking the path that calls you. So there is a sense of more expansion and evolution. But for most, you're like you've done that last year or you're through your 7-year cycle. So there's like a completion of that, right? For those of you that have gone through a death and rebirth cycle, like I said, last year, or maybe it's been like a 7-year cycle, it's complete now. You've completed that. Um, again, I know there's always growth and evolution, right? But it's just like you did a huge chunk of it. So it's almost like you get to reap all the benefits of that growth. So it does feel like just a calmer year. Again, you're going to grow, you're going to evolve, but it's not going to be as intense. Okay? Is what I'm saying. Yeah, so for those of you, you're just building your reality in life in 2026 because you have a stronger sense of who you are. So it's a further slash deeper expansion of your embodied self, right? For those of you that like you built the inner temple of yourself, you know who you are. It's like, all right, like now you're ready to put that into the real world. That's kind of where your focus is now, which is why it makes sense that you're not going to be evolving as much, right? It's more of like the evolution of your material realm. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you know who you are and you're just building that, right? But yeah, it feels like it's a year to enjoy life to the fullest rather than healing. So rather than spending so much time on like meditation and no, I'm not saying these things are bad, but it's like for those of you that have dived so deep in the healing self growth, meditation, like always just kind of being so connected to the ethers, it's more like you're realizing you need to like enjoy life, you know, like you're here to enjoy life. So there's a bigger focus on enjoying life to the fullest rather than healing. It's like joy becomes your medicine to your healing. To further your healing, joy and love become your medicine. So it just looks like doing things that you love and enjoy. There's definitely a more connection to the heart and continuation of dropping your armor and shields around your heart so that you can feel the fullness and aliveness of life itself. For those of you that have been working on the heart chakra, which I've always mentioned, it's the portal. Like our heart is the portal to our higher selves, to our purpose, to our mission, to the divine. It's the connection through the heart. And we've been so disconnected from our hearts, which we lose the connection to ourselves. We lose the connection to the divine, you know, and the clarity of where we're going, where we're headed. So for those of you where you're continuing to unlayer, you're just continuing to remove those walls around your heart and to connect more deeply and live from your heart, which is living from your truth. So you can expect more of that. I know for me, I'm like, I'm all about it. Like truly, I'm all like I've done so much work on my heart and I know I've taken a lot of walls and armor off, but I'm like, I don't want to believe that I'm done because like what I've experienced with the heart, it's like there's so much goodness in there, there's so much beauty in there where it's like I wanna keep experiencing that. So I want to almost, like, keep expanding that and keep unlayering that so that it can feel I can continue feeling the different levels of love, which is honestly the deeper layers of myself and of life. So I'm all for it. I'm like, I can continue unlayering this, beautiful. I don't ever wanna think that I'm done. 'Cause I know I'm not. Every time I've tapped into this, it's just exploded with so much love, and whenever I'm like, "Whoa, okay, that's the max amount of love," the next time it's happened, it would be even more, even deeper. I'm just like, "Oh my god." So, yeah. I wrote down also more like-minded people/soul family coming into your life, especially when doing the things that you truly love to do. So there's a sense of collaborating with these people, whether in a business idea or just helping each other in some way. So there's just definitely a lot more community collaboration, soul, family, like-minded people that you can still meet in 20 and that you probably will be meeting in 2026. So I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Especially for those of you that are relocating or travel, you could probably expect to meet more like-minded people that become like your best friends or your romantic partner. Um, I wrote down more intuitive downloads and insights, but that only happens when people continue connecting with their hearts deeply and feeling safe in their emotions. It's how they become more embodied. Spending more time in nature and reconnecting with nature slash earth. I think a lot of you are just realizing like there's medicine in earth, in nature. And a lot of you are reestablishing that connection with nature, spending more time in nature, receiving insights from nature because like nature is our home, you know, and there's so much that you can receive. I know I was doing that last year and I was receiving so much guidance and good energy and this is something I'm definitely going to continue to do this year because it's such a beautiful connection. Um so there's a connection to consciousness but grounding. So it's like yeah, it's like you're connecting to the higher realms but you're grounding it into earth, especially when you spend time in nature and you receive your insights and downloads from nature, right? Because it's like that portal opens but you're grounding it into earth within this 3D physical reality. Um, yeah, so there's just like some of you that are like these ideas or whatever that you're coming up with, whatever you're working on, whatever you're offering, and it's actually helping to birth a new earth. And you're realizing it's not escaping from earth, but rather reconnecting deeply with it is the true like spiritual evolution, right? It's no longer escaping it, it's being embodied in it. Bringing it down to earth, that heaven and earth connection. Um, there's also, which this connects with the heart, healing and reconnecting with your inner child, which is reconnecting with love, joy, and what makes your heart feel happy and full. It's all connected. There's so many layers to this, right? But like connecting with the heart is reconnecting and healing your inner child. Um, Many of you are stepping into your roles of being teachers slash guides slash healers and builders and visionaries of the new earth, new systems, and translators between heaven and earth. Because a lot of you do have intuitive and psychic skills, and I know a lot of you are reclaiming that and reconnecting with your heart. You're just stepping more into the role that you're supposed to be, you know, stepping into, which I said, which is either a teacher, guide, healer, mentor, a builder slash visionary, like I said, of these new systems, these new ways of doing things. And some of you are just like, you're acting as that like channel or bridge from the unseen to the seen. Again, continuation of the balance between the masculine and feminine polarities, which makes sense. Overall, embodying your knowledge, your like spiritual knowledge, living it instead of escaping it, instead of escaping reality. There's a lot of work on somatic healing, so connecting with the soma, with the body, with the heart, and focusing on creativity, joy, dance, pleasure, grounding practices, and people are becoming more discerning, less reactive, more emotionally intelligent, aware, and responsible, and knowing when to place healthy boundaries, like when to say no. So, yeah. Numbers coming up for this was 2, 5, and 6. So 2 is balance, embodiment, and cooperation. 5, change and evolution. 6, harmony, service, heart-led living, and inner child healing as well. Animal coming up for spirituality was dog, which is loyalty, truth, and discernment. Which to me, that also just reminded me of like inner child healing, compassion, emotional honesty and integrity, playfulness, and joy, which is what I mentioned. I feel like there's just more focus on enjoying rather than healing, enjoying life, experiencing life, living in a heart-centered way, and realizing that that's actually a very spiritual thing that you can do. Next is love. I saved this for last because I know a lot of people are calling in love, like a higher level partner. So it feels like more and more people are releasing their fears and wounds and traumas when it comes to love. So dropping shields around their hearts and being more vulnerable and truthful with themselves so that they can be truthful in intimate relationships. So, yeah, for those of you, there's still like healing in the sense of understanding your traumas, your pain, your wounds when it comes to romantic relationships. Again, I get a lot of you have done a lot of work by yourselves, but that work does continue in relation. It especially continues in relation. A lot of people think it's supposed to be smooth sailing as soon as you get into a relationship because you're healed and that person might be healed. No, you continue doing the work. If anything, that's when your triggers really get seen when you're in relation because that's your greatest mirror. And so, yeah, for those of you, you could just be understanding that and looking at your wounds, your triggers. So there's a continuation of that. Like, I know it might suck to hear, but to be honest, like, that's our greatest work is in relation, is seeing those wounds and being present with them. Not projecting, not deflecting, not avoiding, but being present with it so that you can heal in relation. I wrote down and it does kind of feel like for the beginning of this year still. Some are still in a rest and pause position when it comes to partnerships. Yeah, and that's because you're taking a deeper look within yourselves, like beliefs, habits, ways of being that need to be let go of before entering a relationship. So it's like you're just doing the prep work, right? Because it's like you guys are getting serious of like, oh, I really want to meet somebody. But, you know, maybe I don't like doing this, and you're still in that pause moment of like, okay, where does this come from? Why is this blah blah blah? Like you're doing your work around it so that when you do meet someone, you know how to come in correct. You know how to come in clean because you're gonna value this next relationship, right? Um, for some of you, there's still some relationships that are ending. Again, this to me does feel like it's more so of like the beginning of this year, right? Because there's like that blend of 2025 and 2026. So, but again, you probably know that a certain relationship that you have needs to end. Maybe you just haven't had that talk yet, or who knows, right? But there are still relationships that might be ending. Feels like it's more so, yeah, closer to the beginning of the year. But these relationships are meant to end so that you can learn and grow from them and then move into a healthier relationship and dynamic. So it's either like an actual ending of the relationship that you're in, and then both of you have to learn and grow, and who knows, maybe you come back, or it's an ending of a cycle within a relationship you currently have. Maybe both of you know that it's not the healthiest it needs to be, and that could be like where you're looking at your wounds, your triggers, your traumas, and you're having more heart to heart conversations and more like vulnerable and intimate conversations of like, hey, this came up in me and blah, blah, like, doing that. So it could be like a ending of an old cycle in the relationship and there's a new one beginning. Again, it'll depend from person to person. Yeah, so some are letting go of toxic ways of being in their current relationships to make them better, which I just mentioned. More vulnerable communication between partners. Yeah. For singles who have done the work and have been calling someone in, it feels like this actually could be the year that you meet them. And it's going to be a reflection of you, basically someone who's done the work. And it'll be a very like committed relationship, stable, secure, and mature, where it will lead to like fulfillment and family and kind of like a long-term solid relationship. Again, me saying this doesn't mean that triggers won't come up. Please keep that in mind. Two healed people can still trigger each other, but the difference is that these two healed people can lean in, want to lean in, want to solve problems, want to communicate, want to be vulnerable and intimate with each other. That's the difference. It doesn't mean you're healed, that person's healed, you get together, oh, nothing happened. No, like, no. Things will come up, challenges will come up, issues will come up. But now, because both of you are healed, you know you don't project on one another. It's more like, you did this and it triggered this in me and blah, blah. Now it's like you get to continue the healing in relation. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Um, but there is this sense of enjoyment, pleasure, growth, stability, and fulfillment, inner child being seen by both people and reconnecting in a more innocent and fun way. Um, yeah, there's gonna be like a lot of you are just gonna stop over giving, chasing, and seeking for validation from the other person. You're realizing that you have to embody love to call love in. But emotional truths are finally being spoken. Yeah, and that can look like, one second. So emotional truths are finally being spoken to one another. And yeah, that can look like engagements, right? Finally someone being like, I want to marry you. I want to be committed to you. So engagements, commitments, or clear endings. Truths finally being spoken, more heart to heart. So it's just being honest with the other of like whatever that needs to be, whatever that truth needs to be said, whether it's further commitment, further engagement, or just a clear ending because maybe we've been trying to do this and blah 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 blah, right? And but it's going to be from a very heartfelt perspective. New connections grow slowly and intentionally, where it'll feel collaborative, friendship, and purpose led. Long term potential is prioritized over intensity. So yeah, it feels like for some of you, it's like the new person that's coming in, it's gonna be actually like you guys are gonna feel like friends. You guys are probably gonna be building something together, like a business or whatever. And there's also gonna be love in that, which I feel like is the perfect um it really is like I feel like a perfect template of love. You know, obviously we all have different ones, but I feel like that's kind of how it should be. You're building a life together with this person. So it's like why not build in your career as well and then have a solid friendship and then love. Like that's a beautiful thing. Um overall, so people releasing their fears, wounds and traumas around love, tapping into their vulnerability and emotional honesty, letting go of what no longer aligns, whether internally or a person, calling in a stable, secure, and emotional present and loving partner. So, numbers coming up for this was 22, 4, 10, and 11. So, 22 just feels like destiny level love. 4, stability, structure, and foundations. 10, new beginnings and new cycle. 11, soul alignment and balance. So, a theme coming up for this was actually the star. To me, that almost felt like a dream come true. As like something you've been wishing on and like maybe a particular relationship or yeah, relationship dynamic or partner. It's like it's coming true. So yeah, I love that feels like home, aligned like a wish come true because finally you're able to be honest and vulnerable with this person. Animal coming up was tiger slash cougar. So that's discernment, sovereignty, attraction becomes mutual and aligned, and stop needing validation, the need to be chosen, and knowing you're already worthy of love. Alrighty, guys. So, overall energy and theme for 2026. Positive changes for the better, facing issues, challenges head on, and becoming your fullest self, living the life you truly crave, always have envisioned. Like you guys are building that. You guys are moving towards that because you know who you are. New blueprints, like of yourself, new doorways, opportunities, and fresh, bright ideas coming towards you. Manifesting your desires. So, a lot more seeds are going to be sprouting this year that you have planted last year, and they'll be coming into fruition. Um, it's a very prosperous time filled with infinite potential. Also a time of abundance, prosperity, new careers, projects, people being seen, and coming into positions of leadership and authority. Steady income being built. There's a lot more support this year from like the unseen to your inner circle, to like people help coming in and helping you. Happiness, joy, nurturance for yourself and your heart, and making choices and decisions that are for your highest good and good for like your mental health, your body, and your health overall. So, new routines, self care, fitness routine, food choices. Like you're just making better choices for yourself because you're realizing like you only have one body. You're realizing that you need to take responsibility of your life. And so you're making better decisions for yourself, for your life, for your mental health, for your heart, for like all these different areas. Um yeah, I also wrote down deep emotional maturity for a lot of you because of that vulnerability and reconnecting with your heart. Embodied action, steady and precise action after survival and like the death period of your old cycle. It's standing in your own inner authority of knowing who the F you are, is what I wrote. Because you've rebuilt yourself in a very solid way. Like a lot of you just know who you are. A lot of you have gotten to the depths of yourself where it's like, I know who I am. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. I know the people that I want. I know the kind of relationship that I like. A lot of you just have gotten to know yourselves on such a deep level where now it's like what I'm seeing, it's almost like you went to school, okay? Soul school. I've mentioned this before. And you've graduated. Oh my god, that's so interesting. I actually made a message like a few weeks ago that a lot of you have been graduating. That's so wow, okay. It's interesting how this has come in because guys, like I said, I'm actually a bit sick. And like nothing really has been coming in until right now, which I'm closing it off. So maybe this is perfect timing. But yeah, it's like you guys have graduated soul school. And now what I'm seeing, it's like you have your little like your knapsack of everything packed and you're like, "Okay, journey begins. I'm headed. I'm going. I'm and it's there's almost a feeling of like a little bit of nervousness, but excitement because you know where you're headed is going to reap the biggest benefits for you. And so, like, that nervousness is like a little bit still of like the unknown of like you don't know what's you're going to be faced with. But overall, there's like this oh my God, I know who I am. I know what I want. I have my boundaries in place. I I know I'm going to meet the right people, the right opportunity. Like there's this beautiful energy, and again, if you're not feeling it, you could be feeling it again, we're still in the winter season, right? So you could be feeling it a little bit closer to, like, March, April, but there is that feeling of, like, "I know who I am. I know what I want, and I'm going to go and get it and receive." It's a really beautiful feeling, truly. Um, what else did I write? Inner integrity, authenticity, living and speaking from truth. Again, that's connected to knowing who you are, standing in your own inner authority, right? So it's like an opportunity comes in, a person comes in, whatever, and it's not aligned. You're like, peace, like mm, this isn't it. I'm not going to bend myself. I'm not going to contort myself. I'm not going to diminish myself in order to make this situation, this person, whatever, feel comfortable. You're just standing in your own inner authority. Again, you've graduated. You've gotten to know, again, I know how that can sound. You're going to continue evolving, but what I mean is like you've done a lot of work. Now you're headed out in the world and you're like, let the world meet the new me, because this new me does not play. This new me does not shrink. This new me knows who the F I am and knows what I deserve and knows the people that should be in my life and like what you're going for and what you're creating. Oh, beautiful energy. Love it. I'm claiming this as well. Okay, so the number is coming up overall for 2026. 11, 2, 7, and 10. So 11, alignment and recalibration, soul guidance. 2, balance and relationships. 7, inner mastery, authority, and discipline. 10, new beginnings and new cycle, which I love how overall for 2026, 10 came out because we're in a year 10. New cycles, new beginnings, fresh starts. Like, oh, love it. 2 animals came up, boar, so / pig, courage, stamina, grounded, action, right? That's like you moving ahead with confidence, knowing who you are. You're going. You're going, you don't care. Because you know who you are. Leopard was the second animal, which is self-trust, strategic action and pauses, intuition, and inner authority. Together, to me, it was like you know when to advance, but you also know when to wait and pause. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. I thought it was going to be longer, but like I said, this congestion is like building up in me, and I'm like, I've been trying to fight it for the last like 40 minutes. So I'm not gonna go through the comments, but thank you for being live with me. And for those of you watching later, thank you as well. And truly, let's have a kick-ass 2026, especially for those of you who, like I said, have gone through a death and rebirth cycle. You've lost your stability. You've lost a lot, let's just say in 2025. This is your year to rebuild. This is your year to receive. Don't expect it to come like all at once. It's going to flood you. No, slow and steady build, but it is coming. Things are happening. Things are sprouting. Especially if you worked on yourself and like within your own like temple and that connection to source, the divine, and your trust in that, like this is your year. Okay. As always, set intentions, release, the need for it to happen a certain way, and trust your heart's guidance, okay? I will say I do have a new idea myself, actually, which is funny how this kind of connected with the message that I gave out. But I will be talking about it maybe, I don't know, in the next live or whatever, because I thought I was gonna have some scheduled stuff going out, but to be honest, I don't know. I need to heal. I need to heal fully so I don't feel like I need to like cough and sneeze and be congested. So if I don't have any planned content, then you can see me live on Monday for the weekly. Alrighty, guys, sending you so much love. I hope you enjoyed this. And let's have a great 2026.